Hello, I'm Gary C. Johnson. Lawyers are spending millions of dollars asking you to give them a call. What could I say to you that would make you give us a call? How about the fact I invented the concept of judo law? How about the fact that using judo law, my team set the record for the largest verdict in the state of Kentucky? No other law firm has even come close. How's that for a reason to give us the call?
800-337-4002.
Gary C. Johnson is a personal injury attorney practicing in Pikeville, Hazard, and Central Kentucky. You can reach him at 1-800-337-4002. Life is a journey, and everyone deserves all the happiness that this life has to offer. That's why attorney Gary C. Johnson created a weekly radio program almost 20 years ago to look at ways that we can improve our relationships, our health, and most important, our frame of mind. You know, by having the right information, our choices can be easier, and so can our happiness. Welcome to this edition of Simply Life with Gary C. Johnson.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into the radio program Simply Life. I'm Keith Casebolt, and my dear friend and the creator of this program, back with us again this week, Gary C. Johnson.
Wonderful, as always, to be here.
Oh, my goodness. Isn't it? And most beautiful time of the year, by the way.
Oh, yes, except that doggone rain took a bunch of my leaves off.
You and me both, my friend.
We're going to talk a little bit about winter.
Now, wait a minute. I was just so happy about the weather right now, and did you say we're going to talk about winter?
Yep.
You know, winter is a little bit depressing.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
How can we deal with it? Because it gets dark and it gets gloomy. As my son CD says, the days become drizzle.
Yeah.
And depression will set in.
You know, that's so amazing that the weather can actually affect your entire being of how you look at things. But you're 100% right. When it's gray and gloomy outside, we kind of become gray and gloomy on the inside.
So I went back to my old Dale Carnegie book, which I've relied upon for years, as you know.
Amazing book.
To see if he had some pointers on how my friends may deal with the impending possible depression that winter's going to bring on. Okay? And the first thing he said was, I'm going to read it to you. Forget yourself by becoming interested in others. Every day, do a good deed that will put a smile of joy on someone's face.
Gary, am I right about this? You can almost tell the people who live that life's lesson, can't you? You can see them in the stores, or you meet them shopping. They're the people that are smiling, that are happy, that are laughing with their friends. They know that secret.
Absolutely. And then he's got 7 ways that you can cultivate a mental attitude. And we're going to go over them and talk about it. Because, again, winter's coming on, my friends. We need to have the right attitude. You don't need to be wasting any of your dash being depressed. You need to remember you're unique.
Mm-hmm.
You're exactly the way the good Lord made you. You're exactly the way he meant for you to be. Now, you do have some control over all of this, and it's your attitude and how you appear to look at things around you. So let's go to the first one. I'm going to read it to you. Rule number 1. Let's fill our minds with thoughts of peace, courage, health, and hope. For all our life is what our thoughts make it. In other words, what he's saying is what you think is who you are.
So help me here. When this gray and gloomy starts coming in and we start having negative thoughts, do we just step on the brakes and say, hold it, stop it? I want to replace these thoughts right now with positive, happy, good thoughts. I'm not going to let this happen to me.
With hope.
With hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can control it, my friends. I promise you, you can. When all of that misery starts flooding over you, stop, take a few breaths, and start thinking of something positive that's happened in your life. You may have to go a long way back,
Yeah.
wherever you have to go.
You know, I read an article this morning. It's odd that you brought this topic up. Sharon Osbourne, who's on the TV Table Talk show with the other women, 5 years ago, she admitted that she attempted suicide because of negative thoughts that had entered into her mind. And she said she had to pull herself out of it by saying, look what I'm doing to all the people around me. And it was all because of negative thoughts.
Ready for rule 2?
I am indeed.
Let's never try to get even with our enemies, because if we do, we will hurt ourselves far more than we hurt them. Let's do as General Eisenhower does. Let's never waste a minute thinking about people we don't like. Think about that, my friends. If you don't like somebody, why would you ever let them enter your mind?
Now, maybe some of our friends are sitting out there going, but wait a minute, I've got this one person from high school that did this to me, or I've got this boss I used to have, and I have vowed that someday I would get even. And you're saying you've got to let that go and say no.
What I'm saying is you're wasting some of your dash every time you let that person enter your mind. You need to forget they live. Literally.
Yes.
And that they're on the earth.
And I'm guessing you're going to tell us, replace that thought with about that person, about somebody who's good in your life.
Who you like.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's helping you
Who's
or
helping
making you smile or
who's encouraging you to
Sure.
be more. Who's encouraging you to be who you are.
It makes total sense now. It's actually self-abuse, isn't it? You're abusing yourself by making yourself think about somebody you don't like.
Your waste. It's a waste.
I get that.
It's just an absolute total waste of the time we've got on earth.
Nothing productive is going to come of it.
Nothing productive is going to come out of it.
Not happiness. Even if you get even.
You still won't be happy because you've wasted all that time
That you could have been
that
doing
you could have
something
been
else.
enjoying life, being around people like you that you like, and getting on with your life. You will be amazed, my friends, how enlightening it is if you will just do that. Don't even think about someone you don't like. Don't give them 1 second of your thoughts.
Gary, I've heard so many people say, I love listening to Gary talk, but there's certain things that happen in your life that rob you, and you can't keep this happiness. But what you're saying is certain things are going to happen. It's just how we choose to deal with them
Absolutely.
and how we look at them.
The cup always should be half full, at the minimum. Always.
Well, I would imagine right now, our friends listening to this, if they take your advice, a lot of people just got erased from their memories.
And remember, we've talked before about gratitude and how you shouldn't expect even gratitude if you give a gift. Rule number 3, what Dale Carnegie has to say about it, I'm going to read it to you, my friends. A, instead of worrying about ingratitude, let's expect it. Let's remember that Jesus healed 10 lepers in one day, and only one thanked him. Why should we expect more gratitude than Jesus got? Okay?
It was only 10%, yeah.
Yeah. B, let's remember that the only way to find happiness is not to expect gratitude, but to give for the joy of giving only. C, let's remember that gratitude is a cultivated trait. So if we want our children to be grateful, we must train them to be grateful. That's rule 3.
So this comes back to what you've told us on the other program about gratitude. The reason for doing things for other people is for your happiness.
And that should be all you expect.
So there's no disappointment if they don't show gratitude. If they do show gratitude, that's fine. But it's because you did it about the way that you feel.
If you expect anything in return, you've tainted the joy that you had from giving it.
So the people that drive through the McDonald's drive-through and pay for the car behind them, not knowing who they are or what they bought, and drive off, these people get it.
They don't expect gratitude.
They don't even know the person.
That's right.
They're doing the gift because they felt so moved to do something nice for somebody.
Remember the rule. Forget yourself by becoming interested in others. Every day, do a good deed that will put a smile of joy on someone's face. That's what that person was doing.
Boy, Gary, wouldn't that be great if we all kept just a little handbook in our shirt pocket and we had that rule down, and each day we could check it off to say, I did
a good deed today.
A good deed today. Yeah.
We ready for Rule 4?
I am.
Count your blessings, not your trouble.
Now,
every day when you get out of bed in the morning, count your blessings, not your troubles.
What was the story, and I think it's in the Dale Carnegie book, about the guy in New York during the Great Depression that the stock market crashed and he had like $100 million, but he lost 60 or 70 million of it. And he jumped off the bridge and committed suicide?
He forgot he had 20 or 30 million.
He forgot he had $20 million. That's the prime example of what you're sitting here saying. This guy still had $30 million.
Mm-hmm.
But he was so distraught over losing the 70 that he took his own life instead of counting his blessings, just what the book is saying.
Yeah.
Now, if we all did that, I think we could come up with a lot more blessings than we do problems.
Everyone listening to this program has numerous blessings in their life.
Well, we got everyone listening to this program has the biggest and best blessing in life, and that's the reverence for life that you so put out to us in a program.
That's right.
You're able to listen to this program. You're alive. You're here.
That's right. You're here.
And being here,
you can actually listen to it. You can even disagree with us. You could even criticize us. It's okay. You're alive.
You can turn the channel. You can do anything you want to. But guess what? You're here. And boy, that is a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Rule 5.
Okay.
Ready for it? Let's not imitate others. Let's find ourselves and be ourselves. For envy is ignorance, and imitation is suicide.
That is harsh.
Yep.
Isn't it?
How many times have we talked on this program about everyone has at least something they're good at, better than at least 10,000 other people? And what he's saying here is that's what you need to be concentrating on, not what someone else is doing.
So
don't imitate, and don't imitate anyone. Don't envy anyone. And imitation, trying to imitate, is suicide. And what he means by suicide, it's mental suicide for your happiness. You cannot be happy if you're imitating.
So why would you take something that is totally unique, a one of a kind, and try to make it like something else? A
that
duplicate.
Is also unique.
A duplicate.
In its own way, but it's not you.
That's right.
So remember, folks, you have your own uniqueness, period. No one else has it. No one else will ever have it. Don't envy what someone else has got.
You did a great program on loving yourself, and I didn't really get the full impact until you did that program. But in that show that you did, you stated you will never be able to love anybody else until you figure out how to love yourself.
And each and every one of my friends that's listening to this program have learned to love themselves. And if they've not,
please do.
Please understand your own worth. You would not be alive today. You would have never been born if you were not extremely important. It would not have happened. The fact you are able to be out there listening or doing whatever you're doing is wonderful. You're alive. And I'm giving you some wonderful little rules here from Dale Carnegie that if you listen to them, it will help you enrich your life.
You know what I find that it does? It makes you walk a little taller, makes you smile a little wider.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking around listening to these rules by Dale Carnegie thinking, you know what? I'm pretty unique, pretty special.
Mm-hmm. Rule number 6. We ready?
I'm ready.
When fate hands us a lemon, let's do everything in our power to make lemonade.
That could be one of the best rules of all, isn't it?
And my friends, it just popped in my head that there's a bunch of you that are listening that's been given a lemon.
Mm-hmm. But
now, your job, and it's a job, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Figure out how to flip it and make it a positive. It's what I do with everything in my life that comes at me that's negative.
you use judo.
I use what I call judo, and I flip it. You can too. Think of a way to flip that lemon you just got. You say, well, no, I can't. Oh, yes, you can too, and let me tell you why, because you got such a wonderful brain, and it's amazing what that brain can do. Give the brain the problem, and it will figure it out. Now, it may be 2 o'clock in the morning when your eyes pop open, and you say, aha, I got it.
Yeah.
But you've got to have the right attitude. You've got to say, okay, this is bad. How do I use it to my advantage? How do I flip it?
You and I were having a discussion before we actually went on the air, and we were talking about embracing the book of Dale Carnegie and the teachings and being happy, and you pointed out, you said the reason that you're embracing it was because of the lemon you got. You got the lemon that made everything so sour, you wanted to turn it into lemonade, so you took that opportunity and studied and started realizing this is going to make me lemonade.
I'm not giving you guys an easy task, or gals.
You think?
But I'm telling you, you have a wonderful brain. Use it. Use it to your benefit. Use that brain that you've got to make yourself happy, not sad. Use that brain of yours to be positive, to see your blessings and not your troubles, to take your troubles, look at them in a really deep way, and flip them to your advantage.
So you're using actually judo on the brain and your mouth. You're saying the mouth can say, hey, brain, stop those negative thoughts. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to start thinking positive thoughts and beneficial, happy thoughts. And the mouth can tell the brain what to start doing?
Throughout my career as an attorney, when I come up against something that is just really bad in one of my cases,
Mm-hmm.
I tell my brain, I've got to figure this out. I've got to understand how really that is to my benefit rather than a negative. And my brain has never failed me, ever, in figuring it out. It always has.
So you give the assignment.
I tell my brain, I have to have help here, old boy.
Yeah, here's the situation. Tell me how this works to benefit my client. And then you just leave it and you let it simmer and you let it work on it?
And generally, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, my eyes will pop open. And I'll say, voila, there it is.
So in other words, you've moved on from the subject, you, Gary, but the subconscious and your brain has been working on it the whole time.
Well, how much time we got?
We've got another good 10 minutes.
Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Had a situation as a product liability case.
All right.
And all of the product was made a long time ago, done. And there was basically little or no regulations or federal law or state law regulating the product. So their defense was we met all the requirements that the government put on us in making this product
At the time.
at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Therefore, how could we be negligent, or how could we have a defective product when we met the regulations? And I got to thinking, how do I get around that? Because it was a bad product that they clearly would have known had they looked at it, that it was a bad product. So I gave the thing to my brain. I said, look, I need help here. And I realized I got to looking at, well, what will the jury's instructions be? What will the jury be asked to decide? And I realized the jury would not be asked to determine whether or not they met the regulations. The jury would be asked if they were reasonable in making the product that way. The jury would be asked if they used ordinary care, actually like any reasonably prudent manufacturer would do. In other words, the jury would be asked to determine whether or not they met what I finally termed as the people's law.
Holy cow, I think I see where you're going with this. So in other words, their statement about we met the regulations was a true statement, but the problem was the regulations were bad.
And they were inadequate. And any reasonably prudent company should have known not to build a product that way, even though they could under the law.
Right.
Well, if they did that, and they didn't do what a reasonably prudent company should do, a jury gets to decide that under the people, what I categorize as the people's law. Those rules and regulations were not what we were talking about in this case. We were talking about ordinary care and reasonableness and whether or not they should have done what a reasonably prudent company should have done under these circumstances to prevent this from happening.
To keep the people safe from the product, yes.
Right. And then I got to looking at the Constitution, and I come up on the 10th Amendment. If any of you have ever read the 10th Amendment, you will be shocked at how involved government is in our lives today, especially the federal government, because the 10th Amendment says basically they can't do it, but it's been ignored. It clearly says that in the 10th Amendment that all powers given in the Constitution to the federal government are all the federal government should have. Then it says all other powers are reserved to the states. Then it goes one step further. And the people.
We the people. Yeah.
The 10th Amendment clearly says it, that the real power in this country is reserved in the people. Not the government, not the states, the people. And that was an eye-opener for me.
So you basically looked at the people that made up the jury and said the power belongs to the people to decide.
Which you enforce the people's law with a jury.
Was this safe? Was it reasonably safe or wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the people decided, no, it wasn't. It was a bad deal.
And that's why we have juries. Ultimately, the jury decides the people's law.
Fantastic story.
Based in our Constitution. That's just an example of what I'm talking about. Now, that, to me, had I not turned that over to my brain and said, you got to help me figure this out, I would have never figured it out. But it was obvious once I saw it.
Well, but I mean, I don't know about my friends, but when you said, the defense said, hey, we built it to the specs and the regulation, we've got no dog in the fight. I was like, how do you overcome that? I mean, that sounds like a lock. I mean, they followed the instructions. But then when you explain it, they were outdated. They weren't safe.
They didn't, and they knew better back then when they built it. They just did the minimum. And federal regulations are minimum standards. That doesn't mean that the people can't require more. That's the bottom line.
The power of the people.
The power of the people.
I like it.
Let's do Rule 7 right quick before we get out of time. Rule 7. let's forget our own happiness by trying to create a little happiness for others. When you're good to others, you are best to yourself.
What a golden rule. And that's kind of what the rule you started off with.
But now I've said on this program, and I'll say it one last time, you are not responsible for anyone's happiness except yours. If you accept the burden of making someone else happy, you are doomed to fail.
You've given us a lot to work on this week. But now you did say it's not easy, right?
No.
Because you really have to be on watch for those thoughts to creep in, for the gloomy weather to come, for a lemon to pop up in your life. You got to look for them.
You have to use that fine brain that you have.
These things are easy to do when everything's going great, right?
Right.
When things are all going good, you're like, oh, this is so easy to do. What happens when that lemon pops up and things are going a little bit the other way?
My friends are going to deal with it.
You know, I think they are. I really do. I hope everybody got a chance to write down the things. If they didn't, they can always go to the website, listen to the program again, and write them down. Gary, is a wonderful lesson.
The thing about life is it's not a rose garden, my friends. But you can plant a lot of roses. You may get a bunch of weeds, but you can get rid of those weeds simply by how you choose to look at what's around you and how you choose to act. And the greatest thing you'll ever do is not for 1 second think about someone you don't like. Don't give it to them. They own you during that period of time when you do.
And that's time you'll never get back.
And all you've got is your brain and your thoughts. That's who you are. That is your life. That is you.
It's all about happiness. Stretching that dash, that's what you've talked about from the get-go. And it feels good to feel good.
Oh, yes.
All right. We've got a lot to work on this week with this lesson, with all the points that Gary pointed out. But if we do it, I think you're going to find out you'll smile a lot more, and people will smile a lot more back at you.
Which is the people in your life is the only thing that truly matters.
With that, you can catch Gary's television shows Tuesday nights on WYMT, your CBS affiliate, at 7 p.m. A late-night replay is in Central Kentucky on your CBS affiliate, WKYT. If you're an early riser on the Fox affiliate, you can check us Monday mornings at 6:30 a.m. and then again Friday morning to get your weekend started at 6:30 a.m. You need to get in touch with Gary, GaryCJohnson.com. My friend, thank you for being here and thank you for the lesson.
I just hope that my friends have some hope of being happy out there.
On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. We really appreciate you tuning into this program. And as always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this same time.
Thanks for listening to Simply Life with attorney Gary C. Johnson. If you'd like to reach the Gary C. Johnson Law Firm, you can call 1-800-337-4002. Until next week, may you be safe, healthy, and happy. And most of all, remember that you're unique and a gift from God. If you'd like to receive a podcast of this week's show or any future show, go to GaryCJohnson.com and sign up today. Thanks for listening to Simply Life.